What's going on, Dolphins? It is your boy Dillon, and first of all, as you can see, I decided to chop off the mop. I lopped off the mop that I had on my head. I had some fun with it. I don't normally have long hair. Most of my life, the vast majority of my life, I've had hair similar to this. Yesterday, I cleaned it off. I just chopped off the mop. I still need to touch it up a little bit because obviously I missed some stuff the first go around. So I need to clean it up, but this is generally where my hair is, short. So, you know, I had my fun with it. I don't normally do it. It had been growing for, several months. I do actually kind of miss it a little bit. I'm not going to lie, just a little bit. Just because it is so different and just because I'm not used to it. And it also was a tiny bit weird not having the hair yesterday after having it for so long. So anyway, that's just a little personal note, but an obvious one because you can see it. So let's actually get into some Dolphins related stuff because there are a couple articles that I want to get into. The Dolphins did make some roster moves and stuff like that today, so we're going to talk about that. But first, I want to get into Alan Poupard did a little compilation of the current power rankings, and so I want to take a look at that just really fast and see what the national media. I know, a lot of Dolphins fans are out there sitting there saying that the national media is not, giving the Dolphins any credit and they're shitting on us and they're not giving us respect, and we were a 10-win team last year and we got so much better and we're ready to start competing for division championships and AFC championships and the Super Bowl. Okay, I mean, I guess, that's, look, at the end of the day, that's a lot of Dolphins fans' opinions. I don't agree with that. If and I hope I'm wrong, but they have to prove it to me, right? I personally, as of right now, and going into this first game against the Patriots, I have them, at 9 wins. Prior to the preseason and prior to training camp, I still had them at 6 wins. As you guys know, if you went and looked back, they earned a few wins from me throughout the offseason by making sure that Xavier Howard stayed in-house. And so that, so the defense doesn't take a massive step backwards without him, because it would. That was a huge thing. Obviously, Tua being healthy and balling out, that was huge for me. And then, the way that they performed through the preseason games, they earned 3 wins from me on the season, which puts them at 9. But I'm not yet ready to say that they are a 10-plus win team yet, and that they're ready to start contending for perennial trips to the playoffs, or to beat out the division, our division rivals, the Bills, for the division, right? I'm sorry. I want to be, and I hope that they do get there, and I hope that they exceed my expectations. But I live in reality, and to this point, even with the 10 wins last year, they haven't proven to me yet that they are capable of doing that in a normal regular season when they don't have to rely on playing, bad/decimated by COVID and injury teams in the back 2/3 of their season to get to that 10 wins, right? So, and people call me a hater for that, but they have to prove it. So, let's see what the national media has to say, right? A lot of Dolphins fans, and look, I get it, mainstream media fucking sucks. I completely agree with that, just in general, right? It's, especially when it comes to politics and real world news, but I mean, at the end of the day, we just have to be objective, and we just have to take all of the data into account and then decide for ourselves what we believe the reality of the situation to be based off of the full context and full data. And that's what I do. And so we'll see, man. We'll see how it plays out throughout the season. So let's get to it. Dolphins are regarded as belonging in the second tier of NFL teams by national analysts. The Miami Dolphins will head into the 2021 season hoping to take that next step to get into the playoffs following their 10-6 finish of a year ago. The national perception of the Dolphins generally projects a team that will be among those fighting for one of the final playoff spots based on national power rankings. And real quick too, right? So like I said, because just to reiterate one more thing from my previous video and some things I've said recently is, so obviously they've elevated themselves to 9 wins, but my big 3 concerns for this roster and this team, first and foremost, obviously I didn't think that they were a 10-win team last year, and I thought that they overachieved by 3 or 4 games, right? Because I only thought that they would be a 6 to 7 win team, and that would be their ceiling last year. But they exceeded those expectations because the extenuating circumstances of last season and being able to play bad to beat up teams in the bottom 2/3 of the season. So obviously that's the case. You guys know that. I believe that. And so they weren't that to begin with. They weren't that quality of a team to begin with. But they have earned those three additional games over the offseason. But for me, my 3 biggest concerns for the roster and this team at this particular point are the offensive line, which is unquestionably the weakest link and certainly the thing that could hold this offense back. Roster depth across the roster, and then the injury/COVID concern. And obviously that didn't get any better at the start of this week, having to put Shaheen and Jackson on the COVID list. So look, man, these are definitely legitimate concerns, and these are concerns to the level of which, look, I mean, there is some chance that the Dolphins do only win 6 or 7 games this season. There's a chance they win less games than that, like a real chance. And it's not because the Dolphins don't, on paper their run defense is definitely questionable to me, and that was actually something that I was looking to improve on this year because they brought in Benardrick McKinney and had that thumper in the middle. And, releasing him makes me, question this defense's ability to hold up against the run with, small linebackers and stuff like that. But anyway, so I have to see it, bro. I have to see it. And until they prove it to me, I'm not going to just give it to them. They have to earn it. So anyway, let's continue on. Because this really is not about my opinion, even though it's my video. We continue using the same 7 outlets for our Power Rankings Roundup. Sports Illustrated, NFL.com, ESPN, CBS Sports, Pro Football Network, Yahoo Sports, and USA Today. In those 7 rankings, the Dolphins go from a high of 11th to a low of tied for 18th. Here's a roundup of the 2021 Power Rankings heading into Week 1 with the previous ranking in parentheses and the comments for each outlet. So, in parentheses is the rank that they had them like the previous time that they did this, right? So, because, these things are ongoing, the power rankings, they've been happening they just continue on, just like forever and ever and ever, right? And so in their previous ranking, that's what, the parentheses means right here. So, Sports Illustrated, they had us tied for 18th. They had us at 19th last time. The rumors have swirled, but Tua Tagovailoa will get his chance to lead this team into the season. The Dolphins made a jump last season behind their defense, but our voters once again have them just outside the playoff picture. Okay? NFL.com has us ranking at 14, 15 previously. Analysis is Brian Flores reportedly used a team meeting last week to tell Dolphins players that Tua Tagovailoa is unquestionably our quarterback. The support comes as rumors continue to swirl around a possible Miami pursuit of Texans quarterback Deshaun Watson. It's a thorny issue on multiple levels for the Dolphins, but ultimately it's up to Tagovailoa to make this story disappear. The second year... So, just real quick comment on that. I get that, and to some degree that is true, and to some degree he's already done that through his preseason performance. However, if the Dolphins team and offense in particular does not succeed this season, It won't be 100% because of the offensive line. Tua and the running backs and the wide receivers will all have their part to play in that, but it will be primarily because of the offensive line. Okay? So likely the reason why this offense will not succeed is because the offensive line is not good. The running back room is not going to be efficient enough behind a bad offensive line, and the wide receivers are going to get banged up, and we're going to start losing them, and then we're going to lose all potency. Okay? So if the offense is bad this year, it's because of that series of dominoes and events that occurs and things that you know develop, right? So now if we stay healthy and the offensive line steps up, then this offense could be super electric, right? So but we just have to wait and see. Unfortunately, I think that it's going to be the latter as opposed to the the former as opposed to the latter when it comes down to it. You know, I don't believe that this offensive line is going to be very good, especially as injuries start to mount up. I don't think the run game is going to be as effective as we want it to, in large part because of that. And then, you know, I think it's impossible to think that we're going to, all of our, you know, super injury prone wide receivers are going to stay healthy all year. So I wish it wasn't the case, but you know, that's why I've been saying for years now that I wouldn't have built the team in the way that they did, right? So I wouldn't have gone down the path that they did, starting with the tanking season. But it's not me, and I'm just a hater for saying those things. So it is what it is. They make the decisions. I disagree with it, and because I disagree with it, I'm not just, you know, and I'm not a homer, I'm all of a sudden just a hater and, you know, an undercover Pats fan or Bills fan or whatever stupid shit that people want to say. No, dude, just because I don't drink the Kool-Aid and blindly follow the bullshit that I'm fed doesn't make me a bad fan. In fact, as far as I'm concerned, it actually makes me the best of fan, because it shows not just my ability to identify things that are wrong, but then I have the courage to actually, you know, challenge my team because I want them to be better and I don't want them to do stupid things, right? Anyway, there's that. If the second-year passer thrives, so the point though, I was making is it's definitely not all on Tua, but that's how it's going to be, right? Because either this offense succeeds and therefore, you know, Tua will get credit, or it doesn't succeed and Tua will get blame, even though the primary issue will be the offensive line in front of him. And then, frankly, at the end of the day, even if he completely sucks and just starts throwing fucking interceptions all over the place, okay, even if that's the case, it's still not going to be his fault primarily, because if that's the case, that means he's going to have a shitty offensive line, a shitty run game, and a shitty set of receivers because they're probably all hurt. So the majority of the issue would not be Tua even in that situation, yet he will get like the lion's share of the blame, which is absolutely ridiculous. And that's why, like, I just can't stand people who do not live in a nuanced world, right? Because that's very surface level bullshit, right? It's always the fucking, the same thing happened to Tannehill, right? Everybody just blamed Tannehill even though he had a shitty offensive line and a new coordinator every other fucking year, right? And a new playbook and, you know, didn't have weapons and blah, 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 blah. And his defense sucked, right? So, like, anyway, I'm going to be going off on a tangent if I continue here, but I fucking hate that, because I hate how stupid people live in dumbass fucking non-nuanced worlds and just live on face value bullshit, you know, and then cherry pick things that they want to fit their narrative and then follow the motherfucking people in power just because they're fucking the people in power and they say so, right? Like, no, I can't stand that. I'm sorry. I'm just keeping it real. If the second-year passer thrives in the season's opening weeks, any hypothetical pursuit of Watson should end. But if Tua's play resembles what he put on tape in 2020, the outside noise will only grow louder. Real quick, one comment to that, and that's why I said, bro, listen, I've been telling you guys since the beginning, the Dolphins are the number one spot for Deshaun Watson to land. Now, I actually thought that it probably would have happened already, but at the end of the day, I've also been saying that until something definitive happens, he either goes to fucking trial and jail, or he gets traded to another team, or the trade deadline approaches. It is a very real possibility that he still gets traded to Miami. And I've been telling people there is even a possibility that it happens in the middle of the season. Because if the offense doesn't do well, because the offensive line sucks, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, and they stumble out through the first few games and only get like maybe 1 or 2 wins at best and lose, 3, 4, or 5 games in the first, 6 or 7, well, then there's a very real possibility that before that trade deadline, the Dolphins go back to the Texans and, blah, 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 blah. So, I know people don't want that. I don't want that. But that cloud has not dissipated yet. It is still hovering over this Dolphins organization. And until something more definitive happens than just Brian Flores saying what he said, I mean, that's, that was literally the most minimal basic steps that the organization could say, and they didn't even come out and squash the Deshaun Watson stuff. They didn't say we are not pursuing Deshaun Watson. They didn't say we're not, whatever. So, anyway, it's still there. ESPN ranking 16th. Last time they were 14th. Analysis on player or coach on the hot seat. Interesting. This is low-hanging fruit, sure, but Tagovailoa is absolutely under pressure to perform in his second NFL season. The team around him is built for success. And although Miami's offensive line still has room for improvement, the Dolphins expect to see a more confident, aggressive quarterback in 2021. That's the thing. I don't agree that the team is built for success around him for a number of reasons. The offensive line is not there. The receivers are fragile as fuck. The running game's probably not going to be as good as we hope. And the defense actually might not even be better from last year. It might even be just the same thing as last year, which could actually prove to be a regression as far as the standings go. Because going from worst in the league, 32nd in the league, and I've said this a bunch of times, going from 32nd in the league in 2019 to first in the league in like scoring defense or, third down defense, the massive turnaround and jump that they made is unrealistic to what the quality of product they actually have is. Like, to make that kind of a turnaround is super rare and unheard of, right? So the reality is probably something more in the middle. So in other words, if they field the same defense, because we're not going to be able to count on Xavier Howard to get 10 interceptions as great as he is, and even if he does stay healthy. I mean, I hope so, and that would be awesome. But we can't count on that. And realistically, that's probably not going to happen, even if he gets 6, 7, or 8 of them, right? So, and look, I mean, they're probably not going to be as highly ranked in scoring defense and, third down defense as they were last year. Those things are hard to repeat as number 1 in the league, right? So any, statistical regression from there might put them a little bit more, into the middle of the pack. And so if that happens, if the defense doesn't retain its, elite status and falls to somewhere more in the middle of the pack, God forbid, or whatever, and then if the offensive line struggles and this offense struggles early on and they take those losses, man, not only could the Deshaun Watson thing be true, but, I hope I'm wrong, but I just don't necessarily believe that this team is actually built for success around him. There is some reason to believe that. Like I said, I mean, the potential of these wide receivers is potentially electric. But are they going to stay healthy? And I just can't realistically say that they're gonna, right? Like, we hope that this offensive line is good, but I just don't have a realistic expectation for that until they go out and actually show it in real live games when it counts against, good defenses. So, anyway. He gets somewhat of a pass for last season, coming off a debilitating hip injury and entering the league in a pandemic-ravaged season. I mean, I would hope so. But in a year when the Dolphins should expect to make the playoffs, Tagovailoa must rise to the occasion. Yes, but it's not all on him. CBS ranking number 15th. Last time they had us at 15th, so no move. It's all about Tua Tagovailoa. If he makes the strides, they will be a playoff team, and maybe more. If not, there will be changes coming. I mean, I actually agree with that last part about the changes coming, but again, it's not all Tua. Pro Football Network, number 14th, 13th last time. Tua Tagovailoa appears locked in, and that's without seeing Will Fuller on the outside. Between Jalen Waddle, Devontae Parker, Mike Gesicki, and Preston Williams, he has plenty of weapons at his disposal, as long as they stay healthy. But I just can't imagine that they're gonna, bro. Devontae Parker's had one healthy year. Preston Williams hasn't had a healthy year so far in the NFL. Albert Wilson's got injury issues. Jakeem Grant has injury issues. Jalen Waddle just had an injury last year and has been getting banged up already. Mike Gesicki's had injuries. I mean, like, that's what I'm saying, bro. I get people want to be, like, hopeful, but we got to be realistic, dude. These guys are not going to stay healthy all year. They're not. It would be some sort of, like, you know, above and beyond, like, outrageous miracle if all of these guys stay healthy the entire season. It's a 17-game season, and they're already getting banged up in the preseason. Like, anyway, Myles Gaskin looks like a difference maker as well. As long as this offensive line can survive, this could be a surprisingly good team in 2021. Yahoo Sports, number 11th this time, 13th last time. Left tackle Austin Jackson went on the COVID-19 list, and his status for the opener is unclear. That's obviously a big issue heading into a huge opening game against the Patriots. USA Today, 11th this time, 10th last time. Brian Flores' team has won 15 of its past 25 games, yet Miami's coach continues fielding questions linking his club to Houston quarterback Deshaun Watson. That's in large part because of him, and he was one of the people that was spearheading the whole thing and has been, so let's make that clear. The group Flores will take into week one, including sophomore quarterback Tua Tagovailoa, certainly appears playoff caliber. Yeah, that's what a lot of people think. And I hope that's the case, but I am not ready to think that quite yet. They still have more to prove to me. All right, let's continue on, because I already have, you know, tangented enough throughout this video. So I am working really hard to not go off on tangents and repeat myself and stuff. It's hard. I'm sorry that I do that to you guys, but I am working on it. So let's continue on. Catching up on the latest roster moves and practice squad protections, because the Dolphins did actually get some practice squad protections in, so let's see which players they chose. Miami Dolphins made several practice squad moves and released a couple of players with injury settlements. The Miami Dolphins made several moves Tuesday involving their practice squad. Okay, it's just a repeat, practice squad protections. We'll start with the weekly practice protections, which protects up to 4 players from being poached by another team for that particular week. The Dolphins used only 3 of their 4 allowed protections this week, and they went with quarterback Reed Sinnett, which makes sense, Calvin Munson, defensive end, outside linebacker Jabal Sheard. I actually think that one makes sense too. But why not use your 4th, especially when you have a guy like Kirk Merritt and your wide receivers are injury prone, and it's kind of a shocker that he made it to the practice squad to begin with. If Kirk Merritt gets poached off the practice squad, bro, come on now, right? So anyway, that seems a little weird to me. I don't know why you would do that, but, you know, again, I don't make the decisions, so we just have to wait and see how it plays out for this team. Like I said, though, I mean, if Kirk Merritt gets, you know, poached at some point, I mean, you had one to use. I just don't understand why you wouldn't. Look, and there's a chance that they even, you know, for their 4th, they could have chosen a different player than Kirk Merritt. The first issue that I have with this is you have 4 of them. Why not use 4 of them? Why not use all 4? Just use all 4. Why are you choosing to only use 3? That's weird and silly to me. It just doesn't make sense. And then beyond that, especially when you add in the context of, like, the Kirk Merritt situation. Or, I mean, Shaquem Griffin, it would be I would take Griffin over Munson. I actually think the Jabal Sheard one is good because he was a sneaky good signing to begin with. And this pass rush, you know, we don't know if it's going to be any better than last year. We don't know if it's even going to be as good as last year. So, yeah, anyway, from this vantage point, Sinnott figures to be protected pretty much every week given the importance of his position, which that makes sense. Sheard is the most experienced member of the practice squad, and it probably should surprise no one if he's signed to the active roster at some point. I agree with that as well. Injury settlements. The Dolphins reached injury settlements Tuesday per the NFL Transaction Wire with veteran linebacker Vince Biegel and rookie cornerback Jalen Askew. In other words, neither of those players are with the Dolphins anymore. They, paid them an injury settlement, and now once those guys are healthy, they could sign with any team. That does include the Dolphins though, so there is a chance that they could come back. But as of right now, they are no longer Miami Dolphins, and they are just out there as free agents, baby. Biegel was placed on IR on August 28th and now will be eligible to sign with another NFL team once he's recovered from his injury. Biegel was hoping to come back from Achilles injuries but showed up for one of the joint practices in Chicago wearing a walking boot on the other foot. Askew, an undrafted free agent from Georgia Tech, was waived injured August 17th. Okay, so practice squad moves now. The Dolphins made a switch to their practice squad Tuesday when they signed guard tackle Bobby Hart and placed Adam Pankey on the practice squad injured list. Interesting. But look, and I don't really know much about this guy. Let's see, Hart has played 79 games with 66 starts in 6 NFL seasons after being a 7th round pick of the New York Giants in the 2015 draft. He's from Lauderhill, Florida. Okay, and played collegiately at Florida State. So he's still kind of a nobody. At the end of the day, he was a 7th round pick. He hasn't really done a ton, but he is a veteran. They at least went and got a veteran guy that does have some experience. 79 games is a significant amount of playing time with 66 starts. So he might not be all that great, but he at least is a veteran with, experience and playing time. So, that's certainly better than the other moves and transactions that they've made on the offensive line. Hart was among the final cuts of the Buffalo Bills 2 weeks ago after starting 13 games for the Bengals last season. The moves followed those of Monday on the practice squad when the Dolphins signed Isaiah Ford, Benito Jones, and Carl Tucker. To make room, Dolphins cut Strobridge and Tino Ellis. Strobridge was a 5th-round pick in the 2020 NFL Draft and now is among the 3 of the 11 Dolphins picks no longer with the team, and with fellow 5th-round selection Curtis Weaver and 7th-round pick Malcolm Perry. That's from 2020. That also doesn't include, though, Isaiah Prince and Chandler Cox from the 2019 draft. So there are 5 draft picks in total from the first 2 drafts that the Dolphins have cut already. The 7 still on the roster are Tua Tagovailoa, Austin Jackson, Noah Benogany, Robert Hunt, Raekwon Davis, Brandon Jones, Solomon Kinley, and Blake Ferguson. Yeah, and, Austin Jackson is a concerning first-round pick. Noah's a concerning first-round pick. Robert Hunt was good. Raekwon Davis is good. Brandon Jones needs to show a lot more. Solomon Kinley's been all right. And Blake Ferguson, his job is secure. Although they do keep they have, continuously flirted with other long snappers. And, Tua, I think I have confidence in him. I'm just not, confident in the things around him. So we'll see how the rest of that draft class ends up playing out. All right. Anyway, that's what I got. Yeah, so I'm going to get out of here because that is everything. That is the power rankings and, the transactions and the moves and the things that happened today. That's about all there really is to talk about because, you're not really going to get a lot from practice or, hear much coming out of practice. Unless maybe there's like a new injury or something. So knock on wood. Hopefully these guys remain healthy throughout the rest of the week because we can't afford anything more. Hopefully Austin Jackson doesn't really, encourage me. But hopefully he comes back and Shaheen comes back before this game. But we are only a few days away, ladies and gentlemen, 5 days away. On the 12th, we have a game coming up. So, I'm looking forward to it. Again, my preview video will be probably Friday or Saturday. I haven't decided exactly which day yet, but I want to make sure that I'll be able to get the injury reports and stuff like that. So I'll have accurate injury reports for you guys and whatnot. So we'll see, but I will have that later this weekend, obviously before the game, and then we have the game on Sunday, in which I intend to do a, live stream reaction for. So, with that, I'm going to get out of here. Hope you guys appreciate my perspective. If you do, make sure you hit the subscribe button, make sure you hit the like button, make sure you hit the bell if you want to get the alerts. Share my channel and videos with your friends and family. Leave your questions, comments, and concerns down in the comment section. Of course, as always, follow me on Twitter at Dillon Tartaro. And with that, I am out. I'll see y'all soon. Fins up.